The city barely breathes at this hour. Night hangs over Fallujah like a soaked blanket, heavy with smoke and dust that never settles. Even the stray dogs, those scrawny survivors that pick at rubble by moonlight, have fallen silent. We move through the alley in a single file, 12 pairs of boots scuffing grit and glass. Each step crunches louder than it should in the hush, so we shorten our strides, rolling on the balls of our feet to muffle the noise. The only other sound is my heart knocking against the inside of my flak vest, steady but hammer hard, as if it wants out. I can taste concrete powder on the back of my tongue, sifted into the air from days of bombardment. There's a metallic edge to it too, cordite leftovers from yesterday's mortar volley. It settles in my lungs the way beach sand sneaks into boots, unavoidable and irritating. But today, it sharpens rather than dulls. Every breath feels like drawing a line in the dirt, one more mark closer to the breach. Up ahead, the lieutenant raises a fist. The alley terminates at a crumbled facade that used to house a 2-story workshop before the roof pancaked. Beyond that shell is our target, a narrow courtyard and a squat concrete block the intel boys swear is a weapons cache and staging site. I don't need the drone imagery to believe them. The place smells wrong, like damp canvas and old explosives, the kind of scent that creeps under the doorframe even before you blow it open. We slide into the shadows of the half-collapsed shop. Dust drifts in pale shafts where the moon sneaks through holes in the ceiling, layering over the gear we lay out on the ground. Breaching kit first, 2 20-pound satchel charges, a trio of smaller linear strips, detonating cord, coiled like pale pink snakes, 4 M84 flashbangs. It feels ritualistic, lining them up edge to edge so the team can see and touch what will soon break open another man's world. My gloves come off. I want bare fingers on tape and wire, want to feel the grit that sticks to everything. It's grounding. The raid we rehearsed calls for a double tap on the front door. The first hit, small, directional, peels back the steel frame. The second, my satchel, obliterates whatever remains if the first pop doesn't do it. A belt and suspenders approach, the old sergeant major would say. I prefer the Marine term, overwhelming force. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear the door praying we screw it up. I kneel, peeling duct tape off the roll in short, clean tears. The sound slices through the hush like distant automatic fire. Under the red lens of my flashlight, the blasting caps wink silver. I align two, push them into pre-cut pockets in the C4 block, twist in the leads. The cords snap into place with a satisfying click, as familiar as racking around. For a moment, I'm back stateside at the Reacher's course. Instructors barking, sweat stinging eyes, powdered explosives coating everything, including the lunch I'd forgotten to eat. Funny what sticks when you're half a planet away. Garcia, covering the alley mouth, blows warm air onto his hands, then flicks his rifle safety twice. Click, click. It's our low-tech code. He's good, no movement. I glance at him. In the faint smear of dawn, he looks carved from the rubble itself, skin and gear ash gray. Only the whites of his eyes betray motion as they sweep over rooftops. We've known each other since boot. He once told me he never blinks on a stack. I believe him. I run a final palm over the satchel. Smooth, snug, ready. There's a hush that falls inside me right before every breach, like the eye of a slow hurricane. Outside, everything is noise, comms crackling in my ear, distant M2 heavy guns thumping from the highway, the shift and creak of the squad's body armor. Inside, nothing, just a blank slate and the objective. That calm used to scare me, wondering if I'd lost something human along the way. Now I realize it's survival, the mind's own blast blanket. We distribute charges. Morales takes a strip for the back door. Mitchell pockets a flashbang for the stairwell. I keep the big one, slinging it tight against my chest, wires tucked. The lieutenant taps his watch. 0409. 2 minutes, he whispers, voice fraying at the edges. Nobody nods. We just understand. We funnel out of the ruins into a passage choked with collapsed rebar and shredded market stalls. Boots slide on spent casings. The city's skin feels peeled back, exposed organs smelling of burnt oil and rot. Somewhere, blocks away, an Abrams barks, the cannon report rolling over roofs like thunder off desert cliffs. A second later, the ground beneath us bumps with the impact. That's our left flank clearing their sector, a reminder that this opera has more than one stage tonight. I lead us to the courtyard's outer wall, a waist-high barrier punched with bullet holes. We crouch. I thumb the ridge of concrete, flakes crumbling under pressure. Years of wear plus weeks of war have turned sturdy walls into cupcakes. It's disconcerting how fragile everything looks, except the men. A faint glow outlines the horizon now, enough to watercolor the edges of buildings. Sunrise is maybe an hour away. We want inside before the world turns orange and shadows vanish. Night is a blanket. Daylight is a magnifying glass. The door is a rust-eaten steel sheet set in a concrete frame. Padlock as thick as my thumb, chain looping twice through a bracket. No visible booby traps, no pressure wires. Still, my skin tingles. Insurgents here favor hinged pipe bombs inside the jam, the kind that turn bone to mush. I press one ear close. Nothing. But you can't hear silence, only notice its absence. I signal the point team across the courtyard. 2 rifles train on upper windows. Mitchell edges forward with his non-lethal, slips the flashbang at knee height against the wall. Insurance if the charge underperforms. I unspool 6 feet of det cord, tape it to the upper third of the door in a tight U, overlay the C4 slab dead center. Movements feel rehearsed, almost slow, as if my arms are underwater. But the whole rig is done in under 30 seconds. Sweat runs from my temple, catches on the rim of my eye pro, stings. The November air should be cool. Instead, it's sauna thick, maybe just nerves mashing the thermostat. I remember my last phone call home, Mom asking if Iraq is really as hot as the news says. I laughed, told her night gets chilly. That was a half-truth, I guess. The chill is real. It just lives under your sternum. Behind me, someone whispers a prayer. Spanish, quick, fervent, probably Morales, invoking every saint he can recall. The cadence wearies him mid-sentence, but he keeps going until the final amen slips into a shaky exhale. I respect it, whatever shields you need. I clip the detonator leads to the clacker, tug once to be sure there's tension. The wire vibrates like a violin string. The squad angles away, backs pressing to walls, muzzles covering blind spots. The lieutenant squeezes my shoulder, brief, solid. It means do it, and also come back. I draw in one breath, slow, filling the bottom of my lungs. My thumb curls over the trigger, a familiar concave resting place that's worn shiny despite the matte finish. There's a single heartbeat of stillness where the city seems to lean in, waiting. I squeeze. The world ruptures inward. A fist of air slams my chest, pops my ears, and steals the next breath before I can claim it. The blast is white bright, then red, then black as dust floods the corridor like a surf break of grit. My eyes blink through the sting while instincts drag my body forward. Boots bite into fresh rubble. I feel the weight of the satchel's echo humming in my bones, a low iron bell that keeps tolling even as silence tries to reassert itself. A heartbeat later, the flashbang goes off inside, strobing light, a concussive slap, a chorus of muffled shouts that tumble over each other. I push through the doorway, rifle up, left shoulder scraping the frame. The metal is still warm, edges jagged where the plate sheared. Smoke curls past my cheek like something alive trying to flee what we just did to its home. First room, 12 by 15, concrete walls spiderwebbed from shock. A splintered desk smolders near the far corner, papers fluttering down in lazy spirals. Two silhouettes scramble behind an overturned workbench. One grabs a rifle, the other freezes mid-turn, eyes wide and milky in the dust haze. I don't think, just squeeze. Two controlled bursts. The first silhouette collapses, weapon clattering. The second stumbles backward, clawing at a chest that's suddenly blooming dark. Sound returns in fragments, my own breathing rasping through filters, the tinny relay of Garcia's voice in my headset. "Clear your left! Clear your left!" I pivot. Morales is already on the move, slicing the pie toward a side alcove. A sewing machine lies on its side there. Odd, out of place amid the weapons parts littering the floor. We'll wonder later how civilian industry and insurgent logistics share the same roof. Right now, it's just another obstacle. Morales fires twice. Brass tings off the wall, spends itself on the tile. No return fire. He announces low, "Alcove secure," and we stack again without pausing to mourn or marvel. The hallway beyond is narrow enough that our shoulders brush limestone dust from both walls. My nostrils fill with cordite and the copper bite of my own blood, nosebleed from the overpressure. Nothing dramatic, but enough to taste. Broken light fixtures swing overhead, casting dizzy pendulums of shadow that make every edge seem to twitch. I flash the barrel-mounted light once, quick, catching a framed photo on the floor. 3 boys on a riverbank, smiling at a camera they couldn't imagine would outlive them. The beam cuts away before the image can anchor itself. Garcia takes point now, cat stepping forward, muzzle never wavering. Mitchell steadies at my rear, hand on my pack strap, a silent tether in case I need yanking out of danger. Halfway down we hit a T-junction. Left smells like diesel and rotten food, probably the kitchen. Right is the stairwell to the roof, Intel said. We swing left first. Clear potential hidey holes. Kitchen door stands ajar. I hook a flashbang. Toss low. The roar inside is muffled by thick plaster, but the whines that follow aren't. We flow in, one insurgent flat on his back, ears bleeding, eyes rolling, an easy cuff job for later. Another crawls toward a knife on the counter. Garcia stomps the wrist, zip ties him in 3 practiced motions. The room reeks of kerosene and spoiled rice. A fly lands on the stove, too stupid or stubborn to flee. Back to the hallway, we drift right. The stairwell door is flimsy wood, latch half broken. I palm it open, letting the wedge of darkness breathe. The steps vanish upward into gloom. Someone strung a single Christmas bulb halfway up, green, still glowing despite whatever generator coughs down the street. Its cheer is obscene. Mitchell mutters, "Freaking holiday spirit," and knocks it out with a gentle tap of the muzzle. Glass tinkles down like bells. Rosa 3 steps in. The first shot cracks. A round zips past my ear, spider-webbing the wall behind. We slam flat, barrels up. Muzzle flash winks near the landing. I fire 2, maybe 3. Memory blurs them together. Casing bounce echoes like marbles in a shoebox. The shooter grunts, tumbles, thuds. We don't wait to confirm. Garcia bounds, Morales on his hip. I follow, each tread vibrating under my weight. Top landing secure, body splayed halfway into a storage closet. Young, maybe 17. His AK is an antique Type 56 with electrical tape on the grip. The stamp on the stock reads 1972, older than him, older than me. War recycles everything. We breach the roof exit, no charge, just brute force. Hinges scream. The door slams back. Cool pre-dawn air rushes over us, carrying the distant burp of 50 cal tracers and the hollow boom of artillery someplace east. Rooftop is clutter. Satellite dishes, coiled hose, 2 water tanks peppered with holes. No immediate threats, but the city's labyrinth yawns in all directions. Sniper paradise. We duck behind a chest-high parapet. Morales lays a chem light at the threshold, marking cleared space for the squad trailing us. Down the block, a Humvee rattles over broken asphalt, turret gun scanning arcs. Its engine coughs diesel song, comforting because it means our armor's still prowling. I glance back inside. The stairwell is thick with expelled gunpowder, swirls highlighted by my light. Sweat runs down my spine, pools in the small of my back. My gloves feel soaked, fingers pruning. I cycle a fresh mag, slap it home, tug. Muscle memory rituals keep panic at arm's length. We descend again. The second floor hasn't been touched by blast yet. Rooms intact, but choked with dust. Door left, door right, straight hall. We split pairs. Me and Garcia left, Morales and Mitchell right. Double tap knocks from boots signal progress. One tap, go. Two taps, done. It's as old as trench warfare and just as reliable when comms fail. Our room smells like ammonia and damp cloth. Windows boarded, slats of twilight snaking through cracks. I catch movement behind an armoire. Time slows until I can count my own pulse in fractions. I press the selector, squeeze. The rounds punch through cheap wood, splinters erupting. A body drops, but another pops up. A boy, not more than 12, trembling, empty hands raised. My breath sticks. Garcia shoulder checks me aside, grabs the kid, drags him to the corridor. The boy wails something in Arabic, a single phrase on repeat. I can't parse it. Behind his eyes is terror I can't fix. This is where orders intersect humanity and neither wins. We zip-tie his wrists, leave him with Morales. Keep moving. Later I'll replay the scene and ask whether we saved him or doomed him. Right now, the hallway still reeks of cordite and urgency. Mitchell whispers that the right-hand suite is some kind of dormitory. Bunk frames, footlockers stuffed with ammo tins. Cache confirmed, he says. We radio up. Battalion will want an inventory, but first we finish the crawl. I plant a strip charge on a locked interior door. Small boom, just enough to snap the bolt. We crouch, count down on fingers, pop. The report feels like a door slam in a quiet house compared to the opening breach. But inside this narrow hall it rattles teeth. We roll in under the smoke. Flicker of movement near the ceiling. Insurgent ducking behind hanging blankets. He drops a grenade in panic. It clinks once, twice, spins. I dive left, ribs cracking the edge of a footlocker. Garcia kicks the grenade into a mattress alcove just before it cooks. The explosion is muffled by cotton, still brutal. Heat washes out, sucking the air after it. Debris rains, springs, stuffing, shredded cloth. My ears ring a low, unbroken chime. Vision blurs, then snaps back. Garcia is on his feet first, dragging me. We clear the rest, 2 bodies blown apart, walls pocked. My hands shake when I reload again. The magazine feels slippery, and I don't know if the wet is sweat or blood. I flex fingers, grip resets. By now, dawn's gray light pushes through every crack, turning dust motes into silver sparks. The building feels exposed, no longer a cave, but a stage. The lieutenant radios, voice thin with static. Building secure enough. Set demo on the stockpile. Prep to move. I exhale through clenched teeth. Little victory taste of gunpowder and bile. We regroup in the hallway, rifles low but watchful. Mitchell unwraps a block of C4 like candy, molds it along the ammo tins. Each press squelches softly. I set the det cord, leaving a generous tail we can trigger from the stairwell. The place hums with impending violence again, like the pause before a second lightning strike. As I tape the final lead, my light skims across the floor and catches something thin, taut, almost invisible. Fishing line stretching from the baseboard, snaking under a pile of blankets toward the far door. My gut freefalls. I freeze mid-rap. Heart thunders louder than the earlier blast. The others sense it, rifles snapping into alignment without a word. I lean closer. The line trembles with the drafts we're making. Somewhere beyond that door, something waits on the slightest pull. I don't breathe. Sand, sweat, dust, all hang suspended with me. Above the tinnitus hiss, one thought pounds clear. We didn't trip it yet, but someone will if we move wrong. My pulse thuds so loud it feels like it's pressing the fishing line itself. I ease my weight back, hand hovering over the live tail of deck cord I've just taped. Morales mouths something. I only catch the shape of the word trap. We've all heard the stories. Daisy-chained artillery shells, wired to door hinges, chlorine tanks rigged to piezo igniters, even pressure cookers crammed with bolts and fertilizer. The trick is figuring out whether you can disarm it, or whether the whole house is already breathing diesel-rich air, just waiting for a spark. I trace the line with the muzzle light. It disappears under blankets, reemerges by a cracked dresser, then vanishes again beneath floorboards warped from old floodwater. My brain sketches possibilities faster than I can keep up. A single hand grenade on a pole ring, easy to cut, or the lead thread of something uglier. I swallow, taste powder caked behind my molars. Hold position, I whisper, though everyone's frozen anyway. Dust motes swirl between us like tiny planets. The building creaks, maybe just settling, maybe telling us time's up. My gloved fingers creep toward my multi-tool. If I can clamp the line, slice, and tie it off before tension shifts. A sudden pop, soft, almost polite, comes from somewhere below. The line twitches against my knuckle. Then everything happens at once. There's a roar like a freight train clearing its throat. The floor lifts. Boards splinter upward in jagged shards, hurling mattresses, lockers, and us. My body arcs, weightless, as if the planet stepped sideways. Heat slaps my face, followed by a hail of grit that feels like 1,000 bee stings. I hit the hallway wall shoulder first, tumble, end up on my back, staring at a ceiling that's no longer there. Just swirling smoke framed by jagged rebar. Sound condenses into a high whine, then expands into overlapping crashes, beams collapsing, glass shattering, someone screaming for cover. My chest feels caved in. I force a breath and sand grinds deeper into my lungs. The hallway has tilted. Firelight pulses at the far end where the dormitory used to be. Instinct overrules shock. I roll onto all fours, rifle still slung, barrel dragging through debris. My ears ring but comms crackle, static and half words. Breach, immediate, 2 KIA upstairs. It's not our net. Somebody on another squad just got hit. The city is coughing up violence everywhere, and ours is only a verse in the chorus. A figure lurches out of the smoke. Garcia, helmet skewed, face streaked black, one eye squinting, but alive. He kneels beside me, pats my vest, searching for holes. I shake my head, fine, I think. He taps his own ear, then slices a hand across his throat. I'm deaf. I nod, stick a thumb up. We rise together, rifles scanning. The blast punched a hole straight through the dormitory floor and into whatever sat below. Workshop? Storage? Flames lick at broken joists, throwing orange strobes that make every floating speck of dust look like an ember. I shout for Mitchell and Morales. No answer above the crackle. Adrenaline spikes colder than the fire's heat. We edge toward the crater. Our boots crunch through the drywall mush and twisted bed frames. The fishing line dangles, severed, taunting. I peer over the lip. 20 feet down, where a basement once hid from daylight, now yawns a cavity of smoke and rubble. At its center lies a rusted artillery shell, 155 Soviet markings, split in half, still hissing brown fumes. Whoever wired it did sloppy work, thank God. Directional force blew upward instead of outward. That miscalculation just spared us all. Garcia taps my shoulder, points into the smoke. I catch movement. 2 shadows scrambling along the back corridor, rifles lifted, silhouettes jagged in the glare. Survivors, or reinforcements answering the trap's cue. Either way, hostile. We drop to kneel, aim through gaps in the debris. My first burst clips the lead figure in the hip. He spins, disappearing behind a charred doorframe. Garcia's volley pops plaster off the wall, driving them deeper. No time to chase. I radio, voice ragged. Copper actual. Be advised. Booby trap detonated. Partial collapse. Hostile foot mobiles moving east inside structure. Requesting immediate floodlights and exterior cordon. The headset coughs static. Then a sergeant from the armor platoon responds, calm as a golf announcer. Roger, Copper. Humvee Nil 2 moving to your street. IR lamps on. Keep heads low. I pivot. Where's the rest of my team? A shape crawls from underneath a splintered beam near the stairwell. Mitchell. He's coughing hard, blood spattering his glove. I slide beside him, hands checking for wet warmth. Left thigh shredded by wood and shrapnel, but femoral pulse strong under my fingers. Morales emerges next, limping, face ash gray, one sleeve soaked crimson where his forearm took debris. Relief punches me so hard I sway, all accounted for now. Mitchell tries to stand. I push him back gently. Stay. Tourniquet first. He mouths something I can't catch. Ears still ringing. I sling my rifle, pull the CAT from his vest, loop and crank until the bleeding slows. He winces, but nods. Rage flickers behind his eyes. Anger at himself for getting caught. At the enemy for laying the snare. At the universe for doling out random luck. Outside, engine growls deepen. IR floodlamps on the Humvee sweep through broken windows, painting everything in pale ghost light that only our night optics read as brilliance. Shadows retreat from corners. If insurgents lurk, they're exposed. But they still have high ground somewhere. 2 blocks can hold 100 hidey holes. We drag Mitchell to the less collapsed end of the hall, wedge him behind an overturned locker for cover. Morales hovers, rifle shaking slightly. I squeeze his shoulder. You good? He blinks, focuses, offers a tight nod. I press a fresh mag into his hand. He lost his somewhere in the rubble, and he slaps it home with new resolve. Garcia signals. Movement stares down. Basement. Probably the same shooters repositioning. We can't chase recklessly. One more trap could finish us. But if we wait, they'll flank or escape. I weigh options fast, mind mapping the building skeleton even as it shifts with firelight. The stairwell is partly blocked by the floor cave-in, but still passable single file. I motion. I go first. Garcia trail. Morales, high cover from landing. Mitchell stays. He grabs my wrist, eyes pleading to join. I shake him off, pat his helmet. Hold the fort. Not sure he hears, but he relaxes, watching the hallway like a hawk with one wing. The stairs groan under my weight. Every step kicks ash upward. My lungs feel like sandpaper, breath rasping through grit trapped from the initial blast. Halfway down, I pause. Listen. The ringing has dulled enough to catch faint whispers. Arabic. Urgent. Bouncing off stone. I lean into the rail to lower my silhouette, rifle hole punching dark with its mounted light. Basement ceiling is gone where the shell popped, shards dangling like stalactites. The air tastes of cordite and wet earth. A generator sputters somewhere, giving off a rhythmic thump-thump that masks smaller sounds. I sweep left, nothing but toppled racks of spare truck parts. Sweep right, two figures crouched behind a stack of ammo crates mid-reload. They freeze in the glare, eyes a mix of fury and fear. I don't hesitate. Double tap center mass both targets. Their rifles jerk skyward, triggers pulled reflexively. Rounds slam into ceiling remnants, showering chips down on us. One crate tumbles, spilling SPG-9 rockets across the floor like oversized crayons. Adrenaline spikes as I imagine a stray round cooking them off. But Mistress Luck grants a moment's mercy. Garcia slides beside me, covering deeper into the room. Smoke clears enough to reveal an archway leading to a tunnel mouth. Freshly dug, braced with scrap lumber. Rebar handles hammered into dirt walls. Insurgent's rat line. Maybe the same network intel flagged weeks ago. The trap wasn't meant just to kill us. It was to delay and distract while high-value gear or personnel slipped away underground. We creep toward the arch, muzzles level, boots soft on dirt. The tunnel breathes cold air smelling of clay and stale sweat. My light catches footprints, fresh, heading out. I key the mic. Copper actual, we have a tunnel egress heading northeast, likely connecting adjacent blocks. Request engineer team with ground-penetrating radar and maybe some angry earth movers. The reply comes quick. Negative on the toys, assets tied up. You're on your own to mark and move. Priority remains target cache. How copy? I clench my jaw. Copy. We place a chem light at the tunnel entrance, green to mark hazard, and a block of C4 beside it. Timer set for 5 minutes. Tunnel exploration can wait. Denial is plan B. If intel screams later, we'll dig again. Right now, I need to exfil my wounded and finish the cache demolition so the brass won't accuse us of half measures. Heading back up, I feel the building's bones shudder. Flames have found new fuel along joists softened by decades of damp. Maybe a minute before smoke is too thick to navigate. We shepherd Mitchell to the stairs, Morales bracing his uninjured side. Garcia shoulders our satchel of unused charges. No sense leaving gifts. As we emerge onto the second floor, voices chatter on comms again, this time clear. Copper, exterior secure. Sniper overwatch in place. Report status. I answer while coughing. Trap neutralized. Cellar cleared. 2 enemy KIA. Tunnel booby-trapped. Prepping final demo. We hustle down the original stairwell, a different one, still intact, and spill into the first-floor workshop that started this opera. It looks worse now. Ceiling panels dangling, tools scattered, a hanging bulb swaying like a metronome measuring chaos. Outside, dawn has ripened into dull amber. Sunlight pushes through every shell hole, making dust sparkle like carnival confetti, beautiful and obscene. I kneel beside Mitchell, thumb the clacker leads to the stockpile above. Morales checks his watch, 3 minutes on the tunnel charge. Garcia guards the blown-in doorway, scanning rooftops for silhouettes that don't belong. My own voice sounds distant as I recite over comms. Primary charges set. Secondary denial charges hot. We will exfil South Alley in 1 mic. I'd glance at my team. Sweat-streaked, bandaged, eyes too bright. They nod back. Good Marines endure. But I feel the weight of the trap we walked into, the humiliation of being played by fishing line and old Soviet steel. It sits like a stone in my gut, sparking a slow burn that's hotter than the fire upstairs. We step into the alley just as our charges blow. The building exhales a fiery column, windows belching smoke, roof crumpling further. The sound is a beast's roar, and I realize the enemy set theirs first. We answered in kind. Equilibrium of destruction. Dust geysers over us, pattering helmets, Humvee nil-2 idles nearby, gunner nodding from the turret, flood lamps dimming in morning light. I help lift Mitchell into the back seat. His teeth grit, but he manages a thumbs up that makes Garcia grin despite the grime on his face. Explosions echo down the street, distant but multiplying. Fallujah is fully awake now, every block flexing. My radio crackles, a new frenzied voice. Contact front, need QRF in grid 261. I mute for a breath. The blast's aftertaste still coats my tongue. Smoke drifts skyward, curling into a dawn that doesn't care who owns which street corner. I look at the ruin we left smoldering and think of the tunnel, still stretching beneath neighboring walls, of the silhouettes we didn't catch, of the line that almost ended all our stories in one tug. Somewhere ahead, another door waits, another charge needs taping, and somewhere, someone is readying the next snare. My boots crunch over fresh debris as we move out, lungs aching with dust, heart thumping a war drum cadence that refuses to slow. The trap was their move. Our reply has barely begun. The Humvee rolls south, tires crunching rubble, suspensions squealing under the weight of a turret that never quits scanning. Morning light smears the city in dull bronze, making every shattered window glint like a sniper optic. My squad shuffles on foot behind the armor, boots sinking in pulverized concrete that used to be sidewalks. Mitchell's evac left a hole that feels bigger than one man. Radio chatter fades without his wisecracks, like somebody turned down the city's only music. Garcia shoulders the extra explosives bag, limp in his gait from the earlier concussive wave, but furious that the fishing line ambush stole our momentum. Morales paces on my right, fresh wrap on his forearm already blotched rust red. He rolls his shoulders, testing the range of motion, jaw set in granite. The smell of burnt timber and diesel drifts between empty door frames, mingling with that ever-present cordite tang until you can't tell one from the other. Up ahead, the lieutenant kneels beside a map, sprawled across a broken door propped on 2 cinder blocks. It's been updated with scratchy grease pencil marks we collected from overheads. Arrows, X's, a few sad smiley faces where friendlies hold. He waves us in close. Next blocks the pinch point, he murmurs, finger stabbing a square marked red. Route Jihad runs west-east behind it. Bad guys move fighters through there all night. We wreck the strong point, we cut the flow. His eyes flick at me. You've got enough bang left? Plenty, I answer, patting the bag on Garcia's back. The weight feels comforting, like a promise. We break the huddle. Comms crackle, another platoon taking contact 2 streets over. Their gunfire rattles faint, a string of pops that echo like popcorn under a lid. The Humvee idles, turret pivoting. We move past, sliding along a wall pitted by so many bullets it looks moth-eaten. Someone's laundry still flutters on a line above. Blood-colored shirt, baby pants no bigger than my fist. War leaves the strangest survivors.
Our target building is low, flat-roofed. Exterior painted an optimistic sky blue once upon a time. Now it's a patchwork of soot smears and impact scars. 2 steel doors face the street, chained. Windows are barred, mesh welded over. Intelligence says half a dozen fighters bedded down after midnight prayers. If they're awake now, they're waiting on the devil. I signal stack positions. Garcia, first breacher again, he insists. My turn to light the candle, he mutters, grin thin but determined. I don't argue. I just feel that familiar pre-breach quiet descend inside me, that vacuum where fear gets shoved to the corners. He kneels, tapes a linear charge across the left-hand door, neat and quick. I cover him, rifle leveled on a cracked second-story vent. Morales and 2 replacements from Able Squad post security rear. Sunlight starts cutting sharper angles, turning dust into tiny sparks dancing in the air. Somewhere, a call to prayer begins, tinny and warbled, rising then abruptly silenced. Maybe the loudspeaker got shot out. Maybe whoever muezined just decided today was too dangerous for hymns. Garcia gives me the nod, steps back, clacker raised. We plug ears. The blast slams, door folds inward like wet paper, and smoke balloons out in a hot cough. Before it clears, Garcia charges through the gap, I on his heels. The foyer is choked with dust. Flashbang, pop. White hot flash illuminates 2 startled silhouettes scrambling from bedrolls behind a desk. Rifles bark in unison. One insurgent drops. The other dives behind a concrete pillar, firing blind. Rounds ping steel shelving, ricochet past my helmet. Morales storms left, empties half a mag in controlled bursts. Silence. We sweep deeper, boots sliding on broken tiles. A hallway forks right toward a storage room. I pivot, clear. Garcia moves left toward a set of narrow stairs ascending to a mezzanine. He takes 2 steps before the wall explodes behind him. Spray of cinder dust, grenade blast, shrapnel whining past my cheek. Garcia stumbles, drops to one knee, his rifle clatters, skittering across the floor. I lunge, grab his vest, yank him behind the stub left of the doorway. Blood gushes bright down his left thigh where fragments carve through fabric. His face contorts, but he clamps lips tight, refuses a scream. "All good, bro," he rasps, trying to slap a pressure bandage on himself. But crimson pulses through his fingers, pooling on the dusty tiles, steaming in the cool corridor air. Another grenade arcs from the mezzanine, clangs off an overhead beam and rolls. I drag Garcia farther, shove him prone behind a toppled cabinet, then dive atop him as the blast thumps. Shards rattle off my plates, one sizzling past my ear like a thrown nail. My hearing dulls, a soft underwater hum. I rise, rage surging hotter than pain. I glimpse a fighter dart across the mezzanine catwalk, AK muzzle flashing, bullets chew plaster by my shoulder. I send a full burst upward, spent casings clink off Garcia's helmet. The insurgent ducks, but Morales flanks from a side doorway, lobs a flashbang. It detonates mid-air, pure white, a fault line of sound. When vision clears, the catwalk is empty except for boots poking from behind a fuel drum. I sprint the stairs, boots hammering metal steps, breath scraping my throat. At the top, I round the drum. The insurgent cowers, hands over ears, eyes glazed. He's barely out of his teens. I cuff him with the barrel, feel bone give. He collapses sideways. I pull the trigger twice, ending his future. My finger lingers on the metal, frozen, surprised by how small it felt. Radio calls Spike. Able squad in contact up the street, requesting immediate support. But all I can hear is Garcia's breathing, ragged below me. I hurl down the stairs, kneel, unclip my own tourniquet, cinch it high on his thigh. He groans, eyes finding mine. "Thought you said we'd share the next beer," he whispers. Voice trembles with shock. "We will. You're just pre-gaming, lazy bastard." My grin is brittle. Morales kneels opposite, pushes gauze into the wound, fingers steady despite the smear of blood on his own sleeve. We tag Garcia for medevac, call it in. But no birds can land here. Streets laced with wires, PKM nests peppering rooftops. Closest casualty collection point is 3 blocks behind. I shove a fresh mag into Garcia's plate pouch, press his hand to it. "Stay angry," I tell him. His head lolls, he smirks through grit-coated lips. Able platoon vox again. "Contact heavy, RPGs from rooftop, need relief ASAP." Our lieutenant curses, smacks the wall. "We're moving," he decides, "but first we need Garcia mobile." Morales slings one of his arms, I take the other. He rises, wobbles, bite of tourniquet making him hiss, but he nods, ready. We limp from the foyer into daylight. Sun's full now, glaring off smoke columns. Rattling gunfire stitches the street like a hot seam ripper. Ahead, Abel's Marines huddle behind 2 gutted pickups, pinned by fire from a tan building with a minaret dome caved in. Rocket tubes poke from windows. Muzzle flashes spark like angry fireflies. Garcia gasps. "Put me down! I'll cover!" We set him against a doorway's recess. Morales hands him a rifle. He racks it with shaky determination. My pulse throbs at my temples. The sniper arc is murder. Every time a Marine leans out, chunks of concrete spatter. We need to break the nest, but infantry assault across that killing lane means body bags. A bigger hammer is the answer. I grab the lieutenant's radio. Copper actual to Reaper. Fire mission, danger close, grid 260, 5 by 5 meters, single building, we paint with smoke. The JTAC on Reaper flight is calm, slow drawl. Copy copper, grid 260, advise munitions. 250 pound JDAMs, south to north run, friendlies within 70 meters, repeat, danger close. My voice vibrates with contained fury. The lieutenant's eyebrows rise, but he doesn't stop me. He sees Garcia's blood on my gloves. Morales pops a green smoke canister, lobs it toward the target building. Thin plume coils upward, wind whipping it against bullet-scarred walls. I glance at Garcia, pale, sweat slick, but rifle steady. His eyes track me, burning amber under the desert sun. Reaper. Copper, tally smoke, 1 minute to pickle.
1 minute, 60 heartbeats. Enemy fire still spits. A round cracks the pavement inches from my boot, sprays chips into my shins. Anger sharpens every sense. I can feel the sun, the dust, the dried blood flaking on my lips. I lean into the doorway beside Garcia, peek through my rifle's optic. Inside, the enemy window. A gunner reloads an RPG. Another spots with binoculars. They're confident behind thick walls, unaware that metal end justice screams down from 40,000 feet. 30 seconds. I call to Able Squad. Heads down, bombs inbound! They duck behind Rex, helmets pressed tight. Morales hovers over Garcia, shielding him with bulked gear. I feel the Apache roar first. A distant turbine whine swelling into thunder, rattling loose glass. Then I catch the glint, far above. Sunlight flashing off silvery wings. My spine stiffens. Rage coiled tight, waiting for the release. 10 seconds. Pulse hammers. I squeeze Garcia's uninjured shoulder. For the fishing line, I mutter. He bares teeth in a feral grin. 5, 4, 3. I close my eyes on 2. Exhale all the poison air I've been holding. 1. The earth buckles. Then everything turns white hot, weightless. The J-Dam lands like a Titan's hammer, flattening air itself. Pressure slaps my chest so hard it blurs vision. Sound smears into a single ragged pulse that vibrates the fillings in my teeth. For half a breath the street and sky fuse. Dust, glass, human silhouettes all spinning inside the same blinding cyclone. Then gravity snatches the world back. Debris hisses down, tink, tink, tink on shattered hoods and broken helmets. Heat rolls over us in oily waves, smelling of scorched concrete and burning cordite, a smell that somehow tastes orange. I pry one eye open. The tan building is gone. Roof ripped clean, walls flayed outward like petals on a stone flower. Flames claw up what's left of the stairwell shaft, each gust belching black plumes that twist into the baby blue morning. Secondary booms pop inside, ammo cooking off, maybe buried mortar rounds catching sympathetic. Sparks streak across the smoke like angry fireflies. For 3 long heartbeats, nobody moves. Even the enemy's guns fall silent, stunned by the sudden subtraction of real estate. A fist jab in my ribs, Morales, breath ragged, shouting, "Move!
before they regroup. I can't hear him well yet. His voice swims through a tin bucket echo, but my body remembers the dance. We hook arms under Garcia's shoulders, haul him to his one good foot. He curses each bounce, but the fire in his eyes is still there. Across the street, Abel's squad scrambles from behind wrecked pickups, rallying under the umbrella of the blast's aftershock. Their sergeant gives a quick thumbs up. No new casualties. Rage and relief mingle in equal doses. We push forward, boots crunching a fresh layer of pulverized masonry that still steams. The heat kisses my face through the balaclava. Too close to comfort, but not close enough to stop. Near the crater's edge, the air shimmers, and every breath tastes like a hot battery. Broken rebar sticks out at crazy angles, red hot at the tips. A section of the minaret dome lies upside down in the roadway, mosaic tiles melting like candy in the sun. Inside the wreckage we find bodies, some intact, most not. A pair of boots stand upright, no legs above the ankles. I force my eyes past it, cataloging threats instead of horrors. Morales checks pulses on anyone who looks mostly whole. All are gone. Abel pulls intel off a splintered desk, miraculously intact. Maps, cheap radios, half-filled notebooks of names. One corporal finds 2 shoulder-fired rockets still crated. He drags them clear before the fire spreads. No time for trophies, but intel never sleeps. Garcia leans against a toppled column, fingers white-knuckled on his rifle. His leg dressing has soaked through, crimson turning brown at the edges. I kneel, swap the blood-slick bandage for a fresh one. He grits teeth, tells me the wound feels like a hot crowbar twisting in there. I tell him that means the nerves are still working. Radio crackles. Battalion net relays drone feed. New movement, 300 meters east. Insurgents pouring from connected courtyards, hauling crates toward an L-shaped yellow building. Could be a secondary command post. Could be the next ambush. Lieutenant wants it gone before they rally. We can't march the wounded across open alleys again, so air is the answer. This time bigger and even closer to us.
I key the handset, still kneeling in dust. Copper actual to steel rain. Request immediate tasking. Type 1. Danger close again. Grid 263. Yellow 2-story. L-shape. Southern face marked with red smoke. Morales digs into his pouch, but the only color left is red. He shrugs. Why not keep things consistent? He lobs it high. The grenade clinks off rubble and spews thick crimson coils that catch a light crosswind, painting the sunrise. Steel rain replies, voice of a bomber pilot so calm he might be calling a baseball game. Copper, copy grid, 500-pound GBU-38, single pass north to south. Give me standoff of 80 meters minimum. I glance at the map. We're 70 exactly. I key the mic. Negative 80. Best we have is 70. We accept. Short pause. Roger. 70. Danger close. Final attack in 60 seconds. Every head ducks a little lower. Every soul tightens. Funny how danger close never feels routine, even on repeat. I drag Garcia deeper into shadowed rubble, prop his back against a slab of wall still warm from the first strike. Morales checks our arcs, squinting through scope for surviving fighters who might take pot shots before the next hammer falls. I count breaths. 7, 8.
Lungs still reject dust, but there's no fresh air left to inhale. Booming roar overhead, engines of a super hornet on the dive. The sound scrapes the sky open. I glance up just in time to catch a silver flash, bomb already off the rail, dropping like a tossed coin that knows exactly which side it will land on. Some part of me whispers a prayer, another part savors the inevitability. The bomb kisses the roofline of the yellow building and vanishes inside. A heartbeat later, the structure bulges, sighs, and bursts outward in a geyser of fire bricks and dark smoke. The shock wave arrives, slamming grit into our faces, but smaller than the J-dam, still enough to rattle bones.
White-hot debris arcs against the sky, then rains along rooftops and yards. One fragment clangs off Morales' helmet. He curses and swats smoke from his face. The yellow building's south wall peels away like bark, revealing a mangled interior. Steel girders bent, stairwells dangling, ammunition cooking off in sparkling chains. Whatever column of fighters we saw is either ash or scattering blind. But victory never travels alone. The blast wave unsettles dust clouds all along the block, creating a gray curtain that snuffs visibility. From somewhere inside that haze, a single rifle cracks, sharp, authoritative, different. The round smacks a chunk of concrete a foot above Garcia's head, sending flakes over us. Sniper. The lull after an airstrike is sniper prime time. He waits for shock, then hunts shape and motion in the settling gloom. I yank Garcia flat. Morales drops prone behind a slab. Abel's squad dives behind axle-less wheels, cursing. Another crack. A pickup side mirror explodes. The sound Dopplers. Angle suggests a rooftop 200 meters northwest, maybe still intact despite the J-dam's concussion. He must have taken shelter on a farther corner of that block and rode out the blast. Smart, patient, lethal. Lieutenant shouts over comms, voice clipped. "We're pinned till we find the shooter. Spotters up. Nobody skylines." Easy to say. Dust cloud makes thermal blurry. Our optics struggle to pull heat through swirling debris. The sniper owns the moment. I crawl to Morales, my knees and elbows scraping rubble. "Need glass on that roof. You see any flash?" He shakes his head, eyes scanning, finger poised on trigger. Another shot. This one whizzes overhead, smacks a rusted door behind us with a dull gong. Each bullet sings a different note, but the tune is the same. Stay still and die slower. I unsling the last high-explosive strip, the miniature breacher charge we saved for unforeseen doors. Might be enough to spook him if we can lob it close. But first, we must locate. Abel's corporal toggles his IR laser, painting suspected windows. Twice the sniper responds, shifting fire toward the faint scatter. Each crack gives us a triangulation. Thin gap between columns of smoke reveals a glimpse, glint of rifle scope. Then dark shape hunkered behind parapet on a third-story corner. I breathe out, steady and squeeze. My burst chips stone inches from the target, forcing him down. Morales follows, his rounds stitching a tight line along the parapet's edge. Dust fountains obscure the glint. No return shot. For a moment, I think we clipped him. Then the silhouette pops up 2 meters left, as if he crawled prone to a new perch. Crack. Bullet tears the air beside my cheek, a whip snap,
so intimate it leaves heat on skin. That near miss lights a fuse deep in the gut, a cocktail of fear and fury. I taste metal at the back of my throat, realize I've been grinding teeth. I crawl to Garcia. He's conscious, trying to peer around slab despite pulses of pain. Got a grenade? I ask. He fumbles, produces his last M67, hands trembling. I nod, pocket it. The plan hatches half-formed. Flank through the row of collapsed storefronts on the right, pop out under his nest, toss the frag, finish with rifle. Risky, but sitting still feeds him. Lieutenant radios artillery talk, possible 60mm mortar smoke rounds to obscure, but tubes are busy on another grid. We're on our own. I tap Morales. Cover fire on my mark. He nods. I line up, count silent seconds. Now. Morales unleashes a full magazine. Tracer streaks carving the parapet. Abel joins, creating a wall of sparks. I sprint low, weaving between charred chassis and half-standing archways. Debris slides under boots, lungs burn, every nerve waiting for the crack that ends the run. Nothing. Either he's pinned or picking a better shot. The storefronts are a maze of collapsed ceilings and torn market stalls. Shelves of broken glass crunch underfoot, giving me away. I duck behind a burned fruit stand, peek. The sniper's building looms 20 meters ahead, smoke curling from busted windows like sighs. A steel door at ground level hangs askew, blast warped the hinges. Good. I inhale, dart across, fling the door wider, push into gloom. Inside smells of char and mold. Stairs spiral up, dark except for thin skylight holes. I ascend 2 at a time, sweat streaming, finger off trigger to avoid accidental pop. Second floor, hallway collapsed. I climb over, lungs shredding. Third floor landing, quiet. My heart pounds so loud it feels audible. I thumb the grenade's spoon, breathe. Just then muffled comms in my ear, Morales shouting, movement on rooftop. Too late to process, I step into the open, grenade ready. The sniper whirls from his perch, tall, gaunt, eyes wide over a black scarf. He fires from the hip, bullet cracks past my hip, punches roof tar. I yank pin, count 1 beat, pitch underhand toward him. He dives, rifle cartwheeling. I drop, cover ears. Boom! Roof splinters upward, dust cloud mushrooming. I roll to a knee, barrel searching. The sniper lies twisted near the parapet, rifle inches from hand. Blood darkens his shoulder. He wheezes, tries to raise the weapon. I fire twice, his head snaps back, body stills. Silence. Wind whistles through new holes in concrete. I exhale long, chest hitching. Radio bursts, shooter down. I squeeze transmit. Target neutralized, rooftop secure. Cheers crackle faintly from Morales' side of the net. But I'm already scanning horizons, because rooftops breed more than one snake. Footsteps clatter behind. Morales arrives, breathing heavy, rifle sweeping. He eyes the corpse, then me. Nice toss, he mutters. I glance over the edge. Our Marines emerge from cover, stretching, cramped legs, weapons still up but posture lighter. Garcia leans against the rubble, helmet tipped back, offering a shaky salute. I flash thumbs up, momentary truce with chaos. But down the avenue, beyond the fresh crater, I see plumes rising. New fires, new thunder. The city's symphony hasn't paused, it's simply shifted a few blocks east, and our mission line still points forward. I sling my rifle, wipe sweat-channeled dust from my eyes, and start the descent. Boots creak on stair treads, each step a reminder that gravity remains honest, even when nothing else does. At the bottom, the courtyard, bathed in hazy sunlight, feels almost peaceful, until distant automatic fire stitches the skyline again. We regroup on the street. Lieutenant marks the sniper nest is cleared, then gestures south where smoke curls like beckoning fingers. Next tasking already waiting. My throat tastes of ash and adrenaline. I glance at Garcia's makeshift litter, ready for extraction. Abel's corpsman finishes tying him in. Garcia winks, cocky, even tethered. We shoulder weapons, step off toward the next storm. 1 block, maybe 2, before the city invents another way to break us. Boots crunch over fresh debris, and somewhere inside, I feel that slow burn reignite. Quieter now, but steadier. The airstrike bought us a breath, the fight just inhaled. The street yawns ahead like a canyon of broken teeth, walls torn to jagged points, rebar glinting where sunlight spears through drifting smoke. We angle south, following the lieutenant's hand-drawn arrow toward a warren of ruined apartment blocks that intelligence flagged as the next choke point. Garcia's litter disappears around a corner with the corpsman and 2 riflemen detailed to run him back to the casualty collection point. His departing grin lingers in my head the way a song's last note hangs in an empty hall. And then even that echo fades, devoured by the city's grinding hush. Boots scrape fresh debris, crunching bottles that once held sweet soda, now just bite-sized razors. The Humvee peels off to guard an intersection, turret tracking rooftops. Our fire team flows into a narrow alley, flanked by walls so pocked they look alive with tiny mouths. Ceiling beams sag overhead, forming wooden ribs that groan when the wind shifts. Morales mutters that the whole block smells like a burned library, old paper, hot dust, a hint of chemical funk that prickles the sinuses. We push through a blown-out courtyard littered with toys, a pink plastic tricycle, a headless doll, a soccer ball flattened and charred. None of it makes sense, yet all of it fits. War rearranges every household into a museum of sorrow. I scan balconies for glints, ears tuned for the telltale hiss of a sniper's suppressed shot. Nothing yet, just the dry rattle of top fragments flapping against rebar. The lieutenant signals halt. He kneels by a doorway, half swallowed by rubble, peering into gloom. We're to sweep through, cut across an interior atrium, pop out 1 block east, avoid open street where RPG teams can range. I squeeze past him into the entry. It's cooler inside, shadows thick as oil. My light carves a tunnel through suspended dust, revealing staircases torn loose, wires dangling like jungle vines. Somewhere above, a metal shutter bangs in the breeze, echoing like distant footsteps. Morales falls in behind, followed by O'Neill and Brooks, two replacements from Abel, wide-eyed but steady. We leapfrog room to room, living spaces gutted by fire, walls blackened, ceiling fan blades drooping like wilted petals. On one charred dresser lies a family portrait, still half intact. Father, mother, two kids, all smiling under a date palm, edges curled and smoking. For a heartbeat, I taste something metallic that isn't blood. Remorse, maybe. Then shove it down. Mission first, ghosts later. We reach the atrium. Skylight gone, sky framed by concrete ribs. Sun shaft spotlight drifting ash, making every particle glow. A dried fountain squats in the center, cracked tiles spiderwebbing from shell impacts. We fan around it, rifles sweeping upper balconies. Morales whispers something, can't hear, but the shape of his mouth says clear. I nod, wave the lieutenant forward. We're halfway across when the world snaps. Crack! The sound is flat, abrupt, rifle, high velocity, unsuppressed. A chunk of marble pops off the fountain's rim, inches from my knee, shards peppering my thigh. Instinct rips me sideways behind a toppled pillar. Morales dives opposite, boots sliding on grit. O'Neill isn't as lucky. Round punches through his bicep, spins him. He tumbles behind a concrete planter, screaming through clenched teeth, blood spraying like paint from a flicked brush. Contact, top deck, I bark, poking optic around broken column. Balconies line 3 stories, honeycomb of door frames and railings, too many angles. Another crack, bullet smacks the pillar by my ear, showering my cheek with grit. The sniper has elevation and patience, perfect blend of misery. Lieutenant drags O'Neill deeper into cover, slaps tourniquet on the wound. Brooks throws smoke, green canister hisses, rolling across tiles, but updraft through the skylight sucks the plume heavenward, leaving us exposed. Morales fires controlled bursts into dark doorways, hoping to buy a lull. Every echo in this atrium doubles back, making it impossible to track direction by sound. We're blind rats under a hawk's talons. I key radio, voice tight. Coffer to hammer 3, sniper in interior court, need thermal eyes. Static answers, tanks busy across town. No angels today. We solve this ourselves. Another report, this one whispered through stone rather than air, bullet ricocheting off iron railing. The bastard adjusts perch each shot. He wants us rattled, stitched to the floor until reinforcements flank. If we sit, more guns will creep into neighboring windows, turn this atrium into a blender. I check ammo, half mag. Morales taps my boot, signals leftmost stairwell still stable. Idea sparks. Gain the second level, close distance. Force the sniper to abandon high ground. Risky dance, but better than waiting for his lottery. I signal plan. Morales nods, Brooks covering. We time our dash to the next shot. Sniper cracks, I bolt, boots hammering tiles, vault hurdle of fallen beam, stairs groan under weight but hold. I climb 2 steps at a time, senses fizzing with adrenaline. Halfway up, new bullet zings through railing, ricochets into wall. Splintered concrete whips my cheek, close. Top landing opens onto rubble-choked corridor. My breath heaves, ears ringing. I sweep left, clear. Right, shadows tumble where walls caved in. Footprints in plaster dust lead toward a blown-out apartment. Morales hustles up behind me, sweat streaking soot on his face. We advance, boots ghosting over debris to keep noise minimal. Inside the apartment, the ceiling is peeled back, sky glaring through. The sniper's vantage must be near the balcony. We creep past a doorway, muzzles first. Mattress smolders on floor, ammo wrappers scattered. Suddenly rustle behind a curtain fragment, snap turn, finger tense. Just a stray cat, fur singed, bolts through hole in wall. Heart slams, stomach lurches. Balcony ahead. I edge, slow, crouched. A drag mark across dust. Body weight. Boots scuff. Fresh. I slice the pie. Railings bent outward, vantage onto atrium below. Empty. Then I catch movement above. Rooftop edge. The sniper climbed again. He perches on a steel girder bridging two ruined units, silhouetted against pale sky. Dark cloak, long rifle, maybe a Dragunov. He's reloading, calm as a man rolling cigarettes. Wind lifts dust around him like ghosts. I shoulder rifle, exhale, squeeze. Shot cracks, misses wide. Damn wind. The sniper pivots, spots glint. He drops flat, crawls along beam. Morales fires 3-round burst. Sparks shower from steel. But the figure slips out of sight onto rooftop proper. We sprint to a crumbled stairwell shaft, scramble up rebar ladder style, hands slipping on rust. Rooftop feels like entering a kiln, sun baking tar, heat radiating off broken brick. Maze of AC units and satellite dishes provides cover for both hunter and prey. My back drips sweat inside armor. Every breath rasps dust hotter than desert sighs. We split, me left, Morales right, leapfrogging between vents. I catch peripheral flicker, scarf fluttering behind AEC shroud. I pivot, but he anticipates, muzzle flash and thunder. Round tears through my shoulder strap, jerks me sideways. Pain bites, sharp, superficial, still knocks air free. I tumble behind duct, heart thrashing. Fabric smolders, but flesh intact, plate stopped fragments. Morales spots sniper repositioning, empties full mag in arcs. The Dragunov answers ping ping on metal, bullets spark like angry bees. Rooftop fight turns into chess with gunpowder pieces. Radio crackles, Brooks below, voice shaky. We're pinned. More footmobiles entering building. Need you guys to finish that shooter. Copy. Clock ticking. I peek, swap mag, think. Sniper lives for sight lines. Steal them, steal his fangs. I tug a smoke grenade, white this time. Thumb pin, toss high, over duct. It lands behind sniper's likely cover, belching thick cloud that swirls in rooftop wind. Visibility goes milky. Morales fires blind suppression. I glove, knife, keep rifle low, crawl across hot tar toward shadow of a collapsed water tank, flanked by rubble mound leading to sniper's perch. Wind shifts, smoke parts enough to reveal him, kneeling, scanning through optic, searching void. 10 meters. I rise into crouch, rifle leveled. He turns, eyes widen behind dusty goggles. He tries to swing muzzle, but we're inside his minimum arc. I fire a single round, impact centers chest, knocking him off knees. He totters, drops rifle, staggers back to parapet.
But he's not alone. Another silhouette emerges from hatch near vent,
Spotter, perhaps. AK raised, frantic. Morales shouts, warning. Too late. Spotter fires burst. Rounds chew parapet near me. I duck, roll behind rubble. Morales engages. Two-shot burst. Spotter drops into hatch with howl. Sniper still alive, bleeding, hands gripping rail. His gaze meets mine across debris. Resentment, resignation, maybe relief. Hard to read. He slips backward, body tipping over ledge. Thud below. I exhale shakily, adrenaline shivering limbs. Morales jogs over, slaps my shoulder, winces, noticing tear in strap, but nods approval. "Roof clear," he pants. We recover Dragunov. Scope scratched, magazine half full. Souvenir for intel. Down below, gunfire against our Marines slackens. The atrium reclaims hush, broken only by distant concussions. We descend, boots sliding, heart still galloping. Brooks meets us, grin wide despite soot mask. "Whole building just exhaled," he says. O'Neill, arm bandaged, flashes OK sign while gripping rifle left-handed. But respite lasts seconds. Lieutenant strides in, face streaked, urgency radiating. Drone feed shows enemy fighters abandoning outer blocks, retreating under alleys. Sappers suspect tunnels lacing beneath this district, old septic lines widened into ratways. That explains how squads keep popping up behind us. Tasking, locate main tunnel entrance, clear or collapse. Morales and I trade looks. Tunnel work under fire, low ceiling, booby traps aplenty. My heart thumps a different rhythm, tight, subterranean. The sniper's high ground almost ended us. Now we chase danger underfoot. Lieutenant gestures toward a corner of the atrium floor, where cracked tiles form a ragged spiral descending into darkness. Maintenance access the drone thermal flagged. Masonry dust drifts from its lip like breath from an open mouth. Wind whistles up, smelling of damp earth and rot. "Breach it," he orders softly, "then lead the way." I swallow past the dust clotting my throat. Boots scuff toward the hole. Morales flicks his light. Beam swallowed 6 feet down. My hands find fresh tape, a strip charge, the comfort of C4 weight. Even hell has doors, and I was born to knock. I glance once at the skylight above, sun glaring through, shards of glass sparkling like applause. Then I step into the shadows, pulse drumming time for the next act, the earth's cool breath rising to meet me. The hole yawns like a throat, rim of cracked tiles sloping into raw earth. I set a fist-sized strip of C4 around the rusted ladder rungs, a quick pop to knock loose anything fragile lurking below. Then we back off 10 feet. Finger on clacker, breath held, pulse, squeeze, whump. A dull concussion rolls up through the shaft, coughing damp grit into our faces. Morales drops a chem light. The green glow spins downward, splashes in shin-deep water and drifts. No secondary blast, good omen or clever enemy. Too early to tell. "After you, door knocker," Morales mutters, voice echoing off tile. I swing onto the ladder, boots scraping rust. Moist air rises, smelling of wet clay and diesel. Halfway down, I feel the city close over me, the daylight above shrinking to a coin that clinks shut when Morales follows. Suddenly, our whole war is a tunnel barely wider than outstretched arms. The passage runs north-south, brick on one side, rough earth on the other, ceiling low enough that plates kiss overhead pipes.
Water sloshes around boots, icy even in November. My light cuts a silver ribbon along the current. Every sound, breath, gear clack, distant thud of artillery overhead, returns as a muffled question. Radios hiss, but words drown in static. Too much concrete between us and sky. We revert to taps on shoulders, glove talk, the old infantry sign language older than radios. We chalk arrow marks every 10 meters, white slashes that promise someone can find us if the city decides to swallow the exit. Brooks trails last, O'Neill in the middle, sling supporting wounded arm. He manages a grin when he catches me glancing back, as if to say, "Still in the fight, Staff Sergeant." First branch appears, left turn, timber shored, stink of kerosene heavier. I kneel, trace my light along the floor. Tripwire, hair thin, stretched ankle high across the mouth. It twinkles when the beam slides across. Classic. I signal halt. Morales steps up, hands me the wire cutters. Snip, tension snaps, but nothing detonates. A dummy line? Or rigged to alarm deeper in? I pocket the severed length, a souvenir for Garcia later, proof we stayed curious. We choose the right-hand tunnel. It slopes gently downward, echo growing wetter. After 30 paces, my boot splashes something thicker than water. Oil, maybe. Rainbow film skitters across the beam. Generators down here? I sniff. Diesel fumes, faint but fresh. Diesel. Someone's running equipment nearby. A low drone grows, the rhythmic chug-chug of a small engine. We kill lights, crouch. Ahead, a faint orange glow paints the curve. I edge forward, shoulder brushing cold brick. Peek. Cavern opens, old septic chamber widened into bunker. 2 insurgents sit on ammo crates beside a sputtering generator, hands wrapped around tin mugs, weapons lean nearby. Behind them, mortar rounds lie stacked like cordwood, fins glinting. One fighter yawns wide, cigarette ember bobbing. The hum of the engine masks our approach. They're relaxed, believing earth and darkness are loyal friends. I motion 2 targets. Morales and I ghost in. My heartbeat counts the steps. 5, 4, 3. I rise, rifle leveled. Don't. The word echoes like a hammer. They freeze, shock wide in their eyes. Cigarette drops, hisses in puddle. Before adrenaline can arm them, we double tap. Brass clatters on stone, generator stutters, smoke mixes with cordite, a harsh cocktail that sears nostrils.
Brooks secures the stack of mortars. Dozens, all stamped 1989 Bulgarian. He whistles low. Enough to greet a battalion. We rigged 2 blocks of C4 among the rounds, timer set 30. Won't bring the tunnel down completely, but it'll deny this stockpile. We press on, ears tuned for footsteps behind. The tunnel forks again, this time wooden signage in Arabic scrawled on a board. Likely directions for fighters topside. I can't read it, but the arrow pointing east throbs like a heartbeat. That way. The ceiling lowers. We duck walk, backs scraping dripping pipes. A sudden plink-plink, water drops hitting metal, steady metronome. Then another sound under it soft. Scrape, like boot on gravel. I freeze, raise fist, lights off. In the dark, senses bloom, diesel, sweat, gun oil. Voices ahead murmur, too quiet to parse. I produce the last flashbang, thumb pin. We shimmy forward until silhouettes emerge. 3,
Maybe 4 men clustered at a junction, rifles slung, arguing sotto voce. I lob the can. It clatters once, rolls between their boots. White-hot explosion sears night. Screams ricochet. We storm in, punches of muzzle flash lighting cramped corridor. I feel rounds slap flesh, hear rifles clatter. One insurgent fires blind. Bullet zipping past my thigh to bury in dirt wall. O'Neill drops him with a one-handed shot. Ringing returns louder than any nightclub's subwoofer. When dust settles, 4 bodies bleed dark onto the stream. One still twitches, whispering prayers. Brooks kneels, checks pockets, collects a map sheet, a Motorola handset, spare batteries. I tape another chem light overhead, marking cleared in sickly glow. Tunnel now angles upward. Breeze from above carries smoke, wood fire, and explosive residue. We ascend, boots squelching. My lungs ache, each inhale dragging sanded glass. 10 meters up, brick gives way to concrete. A steel hatch overhead, padlock on underside. Fresh scuffs around hasp, used often.
I signal halt. Study the hinge line. No wires visible, but that means little. Morales produces a dentist's mirror, slides it around edge. No filament gleam. Still, our luck today? I decide on overkill. We tape a mini linear charge across hinge. Stand back a body length, clacker in hand. Ears. Boom. Sharp metallic snap. Hatch falls inward, clangs on tunnel floor. Daylight knifes down, sudden and blinding. Above, silence. I hoist up. Peer. A basement room. Concrete walls, rebar shells stacked with water jugs and ration tins. Sunlight slants through stairwell at far end. I haul myself out, cover while team climbs. The room smells of cumin and fuel. A single lantern flickers. No hostiles. Footsteps echo faintly topside. Patrol, maybe. We ascend stairs, slow. Top door ajar. I inch it wider. Corridor, plaster walls, patterned tiles, daylight bleeding through bullet holes. Voices drift. From right, deeper in structure. I recognize the building layout from drone slides earlier, our final stronghold, linchpin of the district defense. We've breached from beneath. Perfect. I motion, breach point, main hall to objective rooms ahead. Morales grins, eyes alight with predatory thrill despite grime. O'Neill swaps mag, teeth clenched against wound pain. Brooks shoulders M203, Pat's pocket of 40 Mike shells. We plant door wedges, trap our rear. Then we ghost down hallway, boots silent on mosaic tiles littered with shattered glass. Posters of a cleric line the walls, eyes smeared by soot. We're inside the heart now, pulse of enemy resistance somewhere feet away, unaware their floor as coughed-up Marines. At a T-junction, we pause. Left, sunlit courtyard, glimpsed through archway, insurgents stacking crates into pickup. Right, barricaded double doors, heavy wood braced by steel bar. Murmurs behind. Could be command cell, could be ammo dump. Either way, target. I sling my rifle, unclip last satchel, 12 pounds C4. Plenty. to turn doors into confetti and send a message. I tape it waist high, route det cord, seat caps with practiced calm. Each press of tape feels like a tick in my bloodstream. Morales covers left flank. Brooks keeps eye on rear. Charge set. I unspool 90-second fuse, long enough to sprint, short enough that defenders can't react. I flick lighter. Spark sputters. Fuse hisses, spitting white sparks that smell of fireworks back home. We retreat 30 meters, duck behind stone column, ears ringing with blood rush. I glance at Morales. He flashes 2 fingers. 2 more heartbeats. The fuse spits toward the satchel. Sparks dancing bright in dim hall. Time stretches. Breath holds. My thumb brushes rifle safety. Just as flame kisses plastique, someone inside yanks doors wide, shouting in Arabic. Eyes land on smoldering fuse. He has 1 second to scream. I count half. The blast doesn't just take the doors. It inhales the corridor, devours sound, swallows light. A bloom of orange punches through the wooden slabs, shredding them into splinters that cartwheel past us in streaks of fire. My cheek feels the heat like an open-handed slap. A pressure wave slams my chest and knees, rattles bones, then sucks all the air backward like the building is gasping for breath it will never catch. We spring before the dust can settle. Morales bolts opposite wall, hugging the billow of smoke. Brooks fires a 40mm through the orange haze. Thud, whoosh, and the grenade skips across tile before bouncing into the ruined doorway. A hollow pop, softer than the satchel, but the shrapnel's song rides the swirl like sleet. Screams overlap. I cut through them, rifle up, diving through gray cloud that tastes of scorched sugar and copper. Inside is chaos, chairs overturned, papers aflame, bodies sprawled where the desk line used to be. One insurgent crawls, clutching a radio's severed handset instead of a weapon, knuckles white as bone. He looks up, mouth shaping a word, maybe plea, maybe curse. My trigger answers, staccato punch that folds him flat. No time for language lessons. Room opens wider than intel hinted, big enough for command, small enough that walls echo every muzzle pop. A map table dominates the center, half the surface torn away. Red grease pencil arrows still visible, pointing at positions our platoon walked through an hour ago. Around it, 3 fighters stagger, ears bleeding from concussion, weapons loose. Morales flanks, dumping a half mag into them before they find their bearings. Plaster plumes, bullets bark, silhouettes crumple. The last one drops to a knee, hand rising for something on his vest. Grenade? Dead man's switch? I fire twice. The gesture freezes mid-reach, then topples backward, arm still clawing air. Smoke churns thick, filing every breath down to razors. I throttle the radio. Copper actual, command room breached. Resistance fading. The lieutenant answers between panting bursts of gunfire. Copy. Enemy outer hall collapsed. Push up and secure roof. Possible HVT attempting exfil north stairwell. Brooks kicks a path through rubble, scoops up a hard drive cabled to a shattered laptop, stuffs it into a dump pouch. Data today, justice tomorrow. O'Neill watches the rear, wounded arm tucked, still white-knuckling a pistol like it owes him rent. We slide past a jam, half blown off its hinges. Stairwell yawns ahead. Concrete spine climbing 3 stories. Blood smears on rails. Fresh footprints climbing fast. Morales flicks his light upward. Shadows leap, but no muzzle flash yet. I shoulder the last flashbang. My ears still ring from earlier, but better mine than enemies. I thumb the spoon. Cook 1, 2, toss. Grenade cartwheels end over end. Burst mid-flight. White brilliance floods each landing. Shouts cascade high-pitched, panicked. We charge. Boots slam steel treads, rifles barking into smoke silhouettes. A fighter drops from second landing, body whiplashing, rifle clattering to ground floor. Another stumbles out from higher, blinded, tries to fire wildly downward. Rounds ricochet off concrete like manic hornets. Brooks nails him center chest. Torso arches, legs crossing as if kneeling to a phantom. He tumbles back into dimness. We crest the top landing, lungs blazing, sweat carving new channels through soot. Roof access door ahead, metal dented, latch half melted by flash charge, still shut. Someone pushed a file cabinet against it from the far side. We hear metal scraping, frantic voices urging. Morales smirks, hands me the breacher bar. I ram the wedge beneath the knob, lean full weight. Hinge shrieks, cabinet skids, feet thud. A shouted command turns into a cough when Brooks punches 2 rounds through the rusty sheet for encouragement. Second shove, the door gives, slams inward. We flood onto roof, rifles sweeping like hungry searchlights. Midday sun blasts down, so bright it washes the city colors to a bleached photograph. Heat devils dance above shattered parapets. On the far corner, 3 men sprint toward a rope ladder dangling toward the next building. Makeshift escape. One wears a black tactical vest, bristling with ICOM radios. Heavier set, older beard streaked gray. Could be our high-value planter we've been hunting since day one. I plant to a knee, side in. But the nearest runner swings around, RPG on shoulder, warhead gleaming like a dull ruby. He fires point blank. The rocket belches smoke, trailing red sparks, streaking toward our stairwell mouth. Morales dives clear. Flame coughs past me. Blast detonates inside the door, punching a fireball up the gap. The stairwell will be a chimney of death for any pursuers behind us, good or bad. I snap back to the rooftop edge. The RPG gunner's recoil blew dust cloud around him. Before he regains focus, I double tap, shoulder, head. Body jerks, falls sideways, weapon clanging. The older HVT is halfway down the ladder. Brooks huffs past me, launches a 40mm low arc. The round sails, kisses parapet just over the ladder lip. Burst. Ladder swings like a pendulum, rope fibers snapping. HVT loses grip, dangles, feet pedaling for purchase. His radio vest tangles, weight drags him. He crashes onto adjoining roof edge, rolls, wheezes. I hop parapet, drop 6 feet onto connecting balcony, knees absorbing shock. Raise rifle, advance. HVT struggles to sit, clutching side, ribs broken maybe. He pulls a sidearm. I kick it away, boot crunching knuckles, steel screech from bone. He spits Arabic curse, then English. You lose the city, Marine. Voice ragged but defiant. That's tomorrow's problem. I cuff his wrists with zip tie, drag him upright.
Morales lands behind me, panting, covering. Brooks waves from roof. 2 more down. O'Neill's silhouette leans over parapet, pistol ready, but no fresh threats. I push the prisoner toward the stairwell of this new building. On the way, his vest radio crackles. Some fighter calling, frantic. He bucks into Mike, maybe coded fallback orders. I wrench the handset, smash it under the heel. The collapse in his eyes feels larger than the crushed plastic. Down the stairwell we descend. Cooler air, acrid with burning insulation from JDAM strikes, blocks away. The prisoner wheezes louder each step, injury slicing his bravado. We emerge into a lobby choked with rubble, but empty of combatants. The building connects by courtyard to our command room structure, like conjoined twins bruised by war. Marines from 3rd Squad thread into the central hall, rifles up, faces smudged but victorious gleam hidden beneath tension. Their sergeant grins when he sees the bound man. Package secured, I confirm. Radios erupt with layered reports. Stronghold captured, tunnel destroyed, roof cleared. A chain of green dots blossoms on the ops board miles away, digital confetti for battle won at street length. But the win isn't cheap. As reports trickle, list of wounded grows. Names we know take on asterisks and status codes. One line stings. Humvee, NIL-2 hit by recoilless rifle after exfil. Garcia's litter made it to triage, but he's in surgery. Not out of the woods. I swallow the lump, push it down where fresh anger smolders. We hand off HVT to the lieutenant, who radios a bird to swoop when skies clear. Then we fan through remaining rooms, ripping flags, smashing comms, spraying quick foam on any bin of propellant we see. No booby traps this time. The enemy played their best cards in earlier hands and lost. On the roof again, the breeze finally shifts, carrying smoke north. For the first time in days, the horizon shows more blue than brown. I stand at the parapet, rifle slung, ears still buzzing from blasts but making room for quieter noises. Flap of tarps, distant rumble of armor, the odd trill of a sparrow that never learned war etiquette. Below, Marines guide detainees at gunpoint, dust swirling around their shackled ankles. Morales joins me, passes a half-emptied canteen. I gulp lukewarm water that tastes of iodine and plastic. Finest drink in creation at this moment. He sighs, long and shaky. Feels different, huh? Like the city exhaled. I scan broken skyline, minarets jagged, palm fronds scorched, apartment blocks collapsed like half-read books. Somewhere out there are more tunnels, more fighters, more traps. But this node, the one feeding them weapons and orders, is gone. Yeah, I answer. She's still breathing, but maybe we just cracked a rib. Radio squawks again. New directive. Hold position. Prep for dusk shift turnover. Engineers inbound to wire the command site with demo. We'll watch until they arrive. After that, maybe chow if supply lines catch up. Maybe an hour of sleep on concrete lit by dying sun. I sit, back against the warm parapet, letting armor dig grooves into shoulder blades. Morales traces fresh bandage on his arm, flexes fingers. O'Neill limps over, slumps down, shares a dry chuckle about still having both legs. Brooks stands watch, silhouette against an afternoon that finally dares to soften. The adrenaline bleed-off leaves me hollow, tired enough that thoughts drift without anchor. I picture Garcia under surgery lights, veins filled with meds whispering promise.
I see the sniper's eyes right before we traded fates on the roof. I remember the fishing line twanging beneath my glove, the half-breath between life and final blackout. Each memory carries a weight that will calcify later, maybe in some bar far from here, maybe in dreams I can't outrun. For now, the weight pools at my feet, manageable only because the men beside me shoulder their own loads. We sit in hard silence, listening to the city shift under its new wound. Wind tugs a shredded curtain on a nearby balcony, making it dance like a ghost unsettled. The sun angles lower, washing the rubble in gold that can't decide whether to bless or condemn. Somewhere a distant call to prayer rises again, wavering, but whole this time. No one shoots the loudspeaker. Even violence seems to pause, as if acknowledging a line we've finally crossed. I look west, where shadows stretch long between cratered streets. Dusk is coming, and with it, another kind of quiet, the kind that follows when the last room of a stronghold goes still, when rifles lower because nobody left is moving. The kind of quiet that isn't peace, but at least isn't gunfire. My eyelids sag heavy. I let them close, just for a breath. Rifle still cradled. Tomorrow we'll invent new doors, new charges, new ghosts. But right now, on this blasted rooftop that once dictated death orders to half a city, we've earned a minute to feel the wind. And in that wind, between the grit and acrid smoke, there's a hint of sea salt drifting up from the Euphrates, mingling with the dust. Almost clean, almost human. Sun slides toward the horizon like a slow bleeding wound, staining the smoke a bruised crimson. From the rooftop, I watch the color seep into every shattered pane, every crater lip, every ragged palm frond that still clings to a trunk. The city seems to hold its breath, as though the day's violence burned all the oxygen and now dusk must ration what's left. Below, engineers swarm our captured building, stringing shock tube and double-knotting det cord around columns the way kids once laced maypole ribbons. Each plastic strip glows candy pink in the low light. When the charges blow later tonight, the command post we bled for will slump into itself, one more spine snapped so the larger beast can't stand. The irony isn't lost on me. We carve ruins out of ruins until only angles remain, like a sculptor who chips away every curve to find the truth of the stone, then keeps chipping because the hammer feels right in his hands. I step back from the parapet. Boots scrape gritty tar. Tiny pebbles skitter over edge, plink 3 stories below. Morales is posted on the opposite corner, helmet tipped like a worn ball cap, face half lit by the last orange rays. He's cleaning his rifle in slow, deliberate motions, the kind men use when they're too exhausted to sleep and too wired to sit still. The bandage on his forearm is already browned at the edges, but he flexes without flinching now. Pain, it seems, has been asked to wait its turn. The air tastes different at sunset. The cordite hangs lower, heavier, mixing with kitchen fire wood smoke from somewhere deeper in the district. Someone is cooking dinner, beans maybe, or flatbread, and the ghost of that aroma drifts up the ruin's stairwell. For a second it crowds out the chemical stink, and my stomach growls loud enough to make Morales grin. He tosses me a sealed ration bar. I bite and chew cardboard calories while the sky keeps bruising. Radio chatter thins to background rustle. Most units are fortifying perimeters, swapping mags for fresh ones, checking tourniquets on the wounded who have to wait for darkness before birds dare the sky. Over the net, a lone corpsman hums a lullaby between status reports, voice cracked but steady. No one tells him to stop. Those soft notes fill gaps our armor can't. From somewhere north, a single distant burst, maybe a PKM, rattles 4 quick shots,
then dies. Echo rolls across rooftops like a tired sigh. No return fire. Even bullets seem spent. I stroll along the rooftop, thighs aching, breathing through the dust that never clears. At the west parapet, I find Brooks, posted beside the captured Dragunov, scope trained on empty streets glowing red gold. He nods without looking up. His cheeks are gray with grime, but his eyes shimmer green in the sunset, youth fighting to remember itself. "Quiet," he murmurs. "For now," I answer. My voice rasped raw from shouting over concussions. Each word scratches throat lining coated in soot and sand. He asks if I think the city can ever sound normal again. Cars honking, vendors haggling, kids chasing each other until mothers yell them home. The question hangs between us, like the first cool breeze of evening. I don't know the answer, so I give him the honest silence instead. Sometimes silence is mercy. Engineers finish lining the last beam, thumbs-up flashes in the gloom. They file down the stairwell, boots thudding hollow, calling out claymore codes as they pass. One sergeant pauses to etch a skull on the door with chalk. Black humor, warding charm. He catches my gaze, shrugs, continues. On the adjacent roof, an American flag the size of a poncho liner flutters where some unit taped it to an antenna mast. The cloth is torn near the Union. A ragged star dangles by a thread that glows amber red against the sky. Wind snaps it once, twice, then calms. The flag settles like a tired chest rising after a hard sprint. I feel the day's weight press each vertebra, but adrenaline refuses to fully unclamp. My gloved fingers drum against the stock of my rifle, slow, arrhythmic. This is the limbo hour when nothing moves, yet everything feels poised on a trigger. Sunset is beautiful anywhere, but here it's an open question. Will the night stay this hush, or will it detonate? Down in the courtyard, 3rd Squad drags splintered desks into a hasty barricade. Wood scrapes tile, echoing like a giant's chalkboard. O'Neill leans against a column, sling supporting his stitched arm, eyes fixed on the middle distance where the smoke meets sky. He's talking softly, maybe to himself, maybe to someone only he sees. His pistol, chrome slide dulled by ash, hangs loose in the good hand. Every few seconds he lifts a canteen, sips, spills half, ignores the loss. Calm in my ear clicks. Medivac finally on station 2 clicks east, using a burnt-out soccer field as LZ. They'll take Garcia and 4 others as soon as the path clears. Relief sparks behind my sternum, small, bright, fleeting. It's the kind of spark you cup with both hands so the desert wind doesn't snuff it. I hear Humvee engines down the block, idling low, rattling like metal lungs wheezing. The gunners have covered their barrels with rags against blowing grit. They look like medieval pikemen carved into living statues by time and dust. One turn sees me above, lifts a thumb. I return it. Then he fades into amber haze. The sun kisses the horizon now, half a disk glowing molten behind minarets that no longer sing. The silhouette reminds me of pictures in history books, Berlin, Hue, Stalingrad, places where city shapes became jagged memory outlines. Fallujah will join that lineage. Future cadets will learn street names that today are just rubble lanes beneath my boots. I breathe deep. Sand sighs into lungs, scratches tender tissue, but I hold it anyway, because the air is cooling, and I want to taste this fragile pause. I think about home, about Sunday dinners, about the Atlantic breeze that never carries dust so thick it coats teeth. I imagine my mother's porch light switching on at this same hour, moths swirling around the bulb. Nothing more lethal than a June bug smacking the screen. That world feels a million highways away. Morales finishes wiping his bolt carrier, snaps rifle together with a click that rings crisp in the hush. He walks over, drops beside me, legs swinging off parapet edge. "Sunset's the best part," he says. "City looks honest." I nod. Honest is one word. Another is exposed. At dusk, everything ugly stands silhouetted, impossible to ignore. Rebar ribs, jagged shells, bullet-chewed walls. But so does everything resilient. A lone date palm refusing to bow, a house corner still painted baby blue, a bird tracing loops above the haze.
We sit in easy silence until the sun sinks below rooftop line, leaving only a copper afterglow smearing clouds. The call to prayer rises again, stronger than earlier, voice quavering, yet bold. It echoes off ruined corridors, off burned cars, off my helmet, fills spaces where earlier gunfire lived. The muezzin's last note hangs, then dissolves into the new quiet. Dusk becomes true evening. Crickets, miraculously alive, begin their fragile chatter in a shattered planter below. Somewhere distant, a radio plays static-laced Arabic pop, volume low. Maybe a civilian clinging to normality in a basement lit by candles. Engineers radio upstairs. Final charges armed, timer set for 0200. They'll level the stronghold when we're well clear. My squad will pull security until first star show, then move west to the soccer field LZ, link with battalion staging. Night march through streets we spent daylight smashing. Irony never sleeps. Brooks stands, slings Dragunov across back like a trophy he doesn't want but knows matters. O'Neill joins, face ghost pale yet determined. Morales stretches, joints cracking like tiny gunshots. We're all bone tired, sunburned, half deaf, and still the mission line rolls forward, one block at a time. I rise, flex knees that feel older than the rest of me. Dust slides off plate carrier, patters rooftop like small rain. I take one last look at the skyline. In that fading light, the city no longer resembles a battlefield, just a silhouette drawing of broken things outlined in ember glow. If you squint, you could see the bones of a place waiting to be rebuilt. Radio pops, commanding. Copper Squad, saddle up. Movement in 5. The lieutenant's voice is gravel but sure. Orders, like gravity, undeniable. I tap Morales' helmet, jerk thumb towards stairwell. He nods, gathers gear. Brooks clears chamber, snaps dust cover. O'Neill tightens sling, mutters prayer. I shoulder my own rifle, feel the familiar weight press home. As we file down into shadow, the breeze lifts behind us, fluttering that torn flag overhead. I glance back once. Its ripped star finally breaks free, drifting on the updraft, spiraling down between roofs like a single glowing ember seeking rest. Then the rooftop disappears, swallowed by stairwell dark
and sunset silence seals behind us, like a door closing soft, leaving only the muffled rhythm of boots on rubble and the quiet promise that tomorrow we'll pry it open again.
Night never stays asleep in Fallujah. At 1:55, the alley is black quiet, dust hanging in the air like a curtain. No wind dares move. My squad hunkers behind an overturned water truck, engine block still hot from yesterday's strike, counting down the last 5 minutes on battered wristwatches that glow weak green. Engineers are tucked 2 buildings back, eyes on their timers, thumbs poised. No one speaks. You can almost hear the city's heartbeat if you lean into the silence hard enough. 200 on the nose, the stronghold exhales its last breath. The first charge cracks like thunder folded in half, blooming a brief orange sun that lights the alleys and paints every shard of glass red. A millisecond later, the column charges rip through the load-bearing bones. Deep, bass-heavy thuds that punch my chest with invisible fists. Concrete sighs, steel screams. Then the whole skeleton buckles in on itself, coughing a plume of soot and memory 5 stories high. Chunks rain for 30 heartbeats, pattering helmets and hissing in puddles. When the dust drifts past, the command post is a misshapen mound. No doors left to breach, no tunnels left to whisper. The blast rolls down streets already bruised from weeks of shelling, setting off car alarms no one will ever silence. For a moment, every gun on every rooftop stays mute, as if the city is too stunned to raise its voice again. We use that hush. Boots crunch over fresh debris, muffled curses in the dark, a quick head count by red lens. All present, all breathing smoke and adrenaline. Humvees arrive rattling like bags of tools. We pile into the rear beds, plates clacking, weapons across laps. The convoy noses west toward the soccer field we hacked into an LZ. Our driver keeps one hand on the wheel, the other pinning a Morse code of nerves against the dash. Every pothole turns into a crater when you're this tired. Every shadow looks like it might pull the pin on itself. At the field, the rotors are already beating warm air into our faces. 2 big CH-46s squatting low, side doors yawning. Corpsmen guide litters up the ramps beneath spinning blades that chop the smoking night into pulsing strobe. I spot Garcia on the nearest bird, leg swaddled in fresh gauze, face waxy, but recognizable. He catches me, lifts a thumb, winks. I return the gesture, fist tight around the rail so no one notices it tremble. Birds lift off in staggered roar, kicking dust cyclones that taste of diesel and cordite. The field goes quiet, except for distant small arms, a few final, futile pops. We collapse on the chalk sidelines, helmets off, lungs sucking air that still tastes like war, but at least isn't spinning. Somebody passes an MRE cookie around. Morales breaks it in half, hands me the bigger piece like it's currency.
The lieutenant sits cross-legged, radio in lap, waiting for the words we all need. When they crackle through, sector secure, major resistance eliminated, mission complete. His shoulders sag the way columns did an hour ago. He looks older all at once. We all do. Dawn tiptoes in on quiet feet, turning the sky a shy violet. The first light threads through the stadium's torn goal nets, dappling our gear in patches of pale gold. For once, the rising sun doesn't feel like a threat, just a reminder that time still moves, even when bullets pause it. Humvee doors bang. Orders fall in for short stroll to Battalion Main. Debrief at 0800. Memorial at 1000. The Marine Corps runs on ceremony the way lungs run on air. We march single file down a boulevard that used to be lined with date palms. Now they stand like burnt matchsticks. Boots scuff gravel that yesterday was sidewalk. A stray dog trots beside us for a block, sniffing our packs as if searching for someone it lost. When the wind shifts, it carries the tang of blown-out sewers, mixing with the sweetness of jasmine crushed beneath treads. Smells that don't belong together, yet somehow do.
At the makeshift forward base, an old vocational high school, battalion staff has scrawled the day's tally on a chalkboard flipped against the wall. Enemy KIA, weapons captured, tunnels collapsed, friendly wounded, friendly killed. 7 of ours. Names chalked beneath in careful block letters that smear gray under the dust. I know 4. Martinez from 3rd Platoon, who smoked cheap clove cigarettes. Cruz, the new kid, who always called me sir by mistake. Lance Corporal Hong, who had a laugh louder than the M240. And Simmons, our comtech, who promised me coffee from his French press once this was over. I stare at the board until the letters jitter, then force myself to walk on. We strip flak and helmets, line them along a wall. Fatigue hits like a sap to the back of the neck. Eyes burn, ears ring. But the day isn't done. We clean weapons with hands that twitch, sip pale coffee from green thermos jugs, write quick notes home on frayed Spa War message cards. I start mine 3 times before the words decide to cooperate. Alive, mission done. Garcia in surgery, but stable. I'll write again. I fold it, tuck it under my plate, until resupply runs the satchels back to Kuwait. At 1000, we gather on the cracked basketball court, sun climbing, helmets back on now, rifles slung muzzles down. Chaplain reads Psalm 23 over a portable loudspeaker that fuzzes with feedback. The boots of the fallen are placed toe-to-toe, rifles inverted between them. Dog tags clinking in the breeze. Kevlar riding the buttstock like helmets on silent shoulders. A bugler somewhere coaxes out taps, thin, quavering notes that ribbon through dust motes. Each high note feels like a nail pinned to the sky. O'Neill squeezes my sleeve when Hong's name is spoken. His good hand trembles like a tuning fork. Morales stares flat ahead, eyes glassy, jaw working a silent prayer or curse I can't tell. The salute rifles fire 3 crisp volleys. Shell casings clatter on concrete, roll into cracks. Those brass husks gleam in sunlight. Tiny mirrors showing fragments of our faces. A corporal kneels, gathers them, places one in each folded flag for the families.
That ritual always gets me, a promise forged in spent metal. Afterward, the formation breaks like a thawed river. Some Marines drift to shade, others trade dark jokes. The rest fall silent into themselves. I walk to the rifle racks, rest my fingers on Simmons dog tags. They're warm from sun, edges worn soft. For a moment I can hear him again, laughing about how he'd hacked the battalion net to blast Motown before our next patrol. I whisper that I'll get him that French press coffee when I see him on the other side. The words wobble, but they make it out. Orders trickle down. Convoy back to Camp Bahariya at 1600. Turnover of the district to follow on forces tonight. We're allowed 4 hours to eat, sleep, write, breathe. I find a classroom where desks are blown into splinters, but chalk dust still smells like childhood. I collapse on a coat of rubble and let the world tilt. Dreams jerk me awake, a fishing line glinting, a ladder swinging, Garcia's grin fading. I can't stay down. Outside, the afternoon sun blazes, white light bouncing off pale stone until everything glows like kiln-fired pottery. I help Morales stack blown tires for burn pit fuel, then carry water jugs to the triage tent. Inside, I find Garcia propped up, IV dripping clear gold into his arm, legs swaddled and elevated. He greets me with a rasp. "Told you we'd share that beer." I grin, hand him a warm Gatorade the color of antifreeze. It's the closest thing we have. We clink plastic caps. He winces at the fizz but gulps anyway. Doctors say he'll fly to Germany tonight. Maybe he'll keep the leg, maybe not. Either way, he'll live. He asks about the city. I tell him we bent it, maybe broke it, but we're not staying to see if it heals. His eyes drift closed, relief painting his features softer than morphine can. 1,600 convoy forms, engines thrumming, armor plates rattling like sheet thunder. I climb into the back of a 7-ton, sweat already carving paths through dust on cheeks. Morales flops beside me, head thumping side wall, eyes half shut. Brooks dozes muzzle down. O'Neill stares out tailgate gap, bandaged arm across chest, watching streets slide by like film strip frames. We roll past the collapsed stronghold, now just a fresh mound dotted by orange safety tape. A gaggle of Iraqi kids stands nearby, wide-eyed, trading pebbles and pointing at the convoy. One boy flashes a lopsided peace sign. I raise 2 fingers back, more reflex than hope. He grins so hard I see the gap where a front tooth should be. City blocks blur, shop fronts gutted, alleyways choked with rubble. A lone vendor already setting up a tea stand between 2 burned cars, steam curling in the heat, as if the war never bothered to ask permission. Life oozes back the same way dust seeps into our lungs, slow, relentless, inevitable. The gate at Camp Bahariya swings open. Guards wave us through, smiles cracking grime. Inside the wire, everything smells of diesel and fry grease, humming generators, the soundtrack of a rear area that pretends sanity. Trucks park, engines die in ticking heat. We dismount, bones creaking, backs screaming. Someone shouts that the shower trucks are refilled. Another rumor says hot chow is chicken parmesan tonight. Both feel like lies, too good to check. I strip gear, dust billowing off like old moths. Boots finally thunk onto plywood floor of the berthing tent. The first breath without armor feels illicit, lungs expanding against nothing but flannel. I flop on cot, stare at canvas roof, stitched with names of Marines long rotated home. Marker ink bleeds from humidity, letters merging into shapes that look like constellations.
Sleep comes hard, but it comes. Dreams ride in on the smell of fresh-cut grass that isn't here, the sound of ocean waves that aren't near. Somewhere distant, a door slams, maybe a Humvee hood, maybe just memory. I wake once, heart pounding, until I realize the silence is real, unbroken by gunfire. Camp Bahariya hums its quiet machinery, and nothing more. Before dawn, I slip outside. Stars glitter diamond sharp in moonless sky. The city's smoke has blown east. The air tastes of metal roofs, cooling, and damp earth gingerly finding itself again. I light a cigarette from a pack I don't remember stashing. Let the smoke claw my throat. Each exhale curls upward, vanishing. Somewhere across the wire, the call to prayer rises, clear and steady, floating over concertina. This time, no artillery answers. I think about the boots left toe to toe on that court, about the brass casings tucked into folded flags, about a fishing line still coiled in my cargo pocket, a thread that tried to end a story and failed. Those names will travel with me long after the dust washes out, long after patches fade. They've stitched themselves into the map of my ribs, coordinates no scalpel can reach. We've finished the mission. But missions end, men linger. I flick ash, watch the ember tumble, sparks dying in sand. Behind me the first Humvees cough awake, another patrol forming, new rookies climbing in, eyes wide as sunrise. The war keeps its own calendar. I crush the cigarette, tuck the butt in a ration pouch, no evidence left behind. I shoulder my rifle for morning muster. Muscles protest, but the weight sits right where it belongs. As the eastern sky pales, I whisper a promise to the ones who can't form up beside me. I'll carry you forward, one block, one door, one breath at a time. The words hang in cool air, blend with the call to prayer, drift across the wire toward a city trying to remember how to breathe.